Pedro Castillo was sworn in as the President of the Republic of Peru as the country celebrates 200 years of independence. The governments of Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed to a ceasefire after 3 soldiers were killed and another injured in the clashes near their shared border. South Africa has claimed the unilateral decision of the African Union Commission to grant Israel observer status to the bloc.
Well, we're still in the process of change.
Welcome to TeleSUR English. I am Denise Herrera and this is from the South. Peruvian President-elect Pedro Castillo was sworn into office this Wednesday before Congress as the country also celebrated the 200th anniversary of independence. Castillo officially took office as president for the 2021 to 2026 term, along with his vice president Dina Boluarte. The inauguration of the new Peruvian president was attended by several presidents from across the region, including Alberto Fernandez of Argentina and Luis Arce of Bolivia. In his inaugural address to the Peruvian Congress, the new president vowed the work to improve the living standards of Peruvians through measures such as proper taxing to allow for greater spending on public services and wealth redistribution, as well as to tackle climate change and ensure the country's development at all levels. As part of the celebration of Peru's Independence Day, a series of activities were scheduled throughout the day, including a parade and several protocol events. During his inaugural speech before the Congress, Peru's new president Pedro Castillo offered a recount of the story leading to the state of the country today and vowed that the government will rule without for the Peruvian people.
With the Constitution of the 79, all the adults could exercise our right to vote. The popular organization advanced the access to the rights processes that was caused by the coup d'etat of 1992, who created the basis to a lack of rights, to a weakening of the state, and for the rules that we see today. Since then, our country has grown and has had several governments that access to the government thanks to the popular vote, that, however, have not complied with the Constitution. This time, a government of the people is here to rule with the people and for the people.
Pedro Castillo also highlighted that he does not come from the usual political elite of the country.
To build from the bottom, from the ground, it is the first time our country will be governed by a farmer, a person that belongs, as many of the Peruvians, to the oppressed sectors for so many centuries. It is also the first time a political party created inside the country wins the elections democratically.
Philip Joseph Hugh was sworn in this Wednesday as Prime Minister of St. Lucia after his St. Lucia Labour Party secured a landslide victory on Monday's general election. The opposition St. Lucia Labour Party won 13 of the 17 seats in the lower house, while the ruling United Workers' Party lost 9 of the 11 seats, meaning an end to the government led by Alain Chastanet, which had served a single 5-year term in office. Pierre has previously served as Minister for Tourism, Civil Aviation and International Financial Services, among other government posts. On being sworn in, he outlined a plan to stabilize the economy, implement universal health care, and improve social transformation as the Caribbean nation works to recover from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Even when it seemed that. As Prime Minister, I promise to be Prime Minister not for some of the people, but for all the people. The St. Lucia Labour Party has won the general election. However, we now have to manage an inclusive, equitable, and just society. I believe that our island can be one where dignity of the human person is preserved and respected.
In Colombia, local authorities in a municipality of the northern department of Antioquia have declared a state of public calamity in face of a lack of state support to attend thousands of stranded migrants who are seeking to cross into Panama en route to the United States. The authorities of the town of LUCIA announced the measures as basic service collapse given the arrival of some 10,000 people to the area. Some 1,500 more people a day are expected to arrive as they seek to find their way into onward transport to cross into neighboring Panama. Local authorities have called on the national government to provide swift support to meet the needs of the vulnerable migrants as well as the local population above a escalating humanitarian crisis. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez highlighted the defeat on maneuvers promoted by the United States to call a meeting of the Organization of American States on a recent protest in the island. On his Twitter account, the top Cuban diplomat noted that the meeting was opposed by the majority of the OAS member states. He also expressed gratitude on behalf of the Cuban government to those countries that defended Latin America and Caribbean unity. According to press reports, the executive body of the OAS announced an online sessions with the purpose of discussing the situation in Cuba after the disturbances of July 11. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel described the move as shameful as part of the U.S. campaign against the island, followed by its allies in the region. We'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. The governments of Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed to ceasefire after clashes near their shared border. The truce was negotiated by Russia, an active mediator in the recent Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. According to reports, gunfire was exchanged between the troops of Baku and Erevan in the evening hours, leaving 3 Armenian soldiers dead and several wounded on both sides. Armenian authorities pointed out that they are upholding their side of the agreement, and Azerbaijan reiterates its support for Moscow's initiative for peace. As the Taliban is said to play a major role in Afghanistan following 20 years of foreign intervention, China has called on the organization to work toward peace and reconciliation while underscoring support for the country's sovereignty and self-determination.
On July 28, State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with the visiting delegation led by head of the Afghan Taliban Political Committee, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, in Tianjin. The heads of the Afghan Taliban's Religious Council and Publicity Committee were also on the delegation. State Councilor Wang Yi said that China, as Afghanistan's largest neighbor, has always respected Afghanistan's sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity, adhered to non-interference in Afghanistan's internal affairs and pursued a friendly policy toward the entire Afghan people. Wang Yi pointed out that the Afghan Taliban is an important military and political force in Afghanistan and is expected to play an important role in the country's peace, reconciliation and reconstruction process. We hope that the Afghan Taliban will put the interests of the country and nation first, hold high the banner of peace talks, set the goal of peace, build a positive image and pursue an inclusive policy. All factions and ethnic groups in Afghanistan should unite as one, truly implement the Afghan-led and Afghan-owned principle, push for early substantive results in the peace and reconciliation process.
The death toll due to torrential rains and floods in the Chinese province of Henan has now reached 73 as the country braces for more rain. Torrential downpours dumped a year's rain in just 3 days last week on the hardest hit city of Zhengzhou. Over 1.4 million residents were evacuated from the affected areas. The damages are estimated at 13.9 billion yuan or $2 billion US. Forecasters said Tuesday more heavy rains is expected as the remains of Taipun in Fa pass through the area. Scientists have concluded that natural disasters have increased drastically since 2019 due to decreases carbon emission resulting in the greenhouse effect. Scientists from the Massachusetts Climate Research Center stated that the extreme weather events and patterns witnessed in recent years, not to mention the last few weeks, highlight the need for the immediate action to address the climate crisis. Experts also from the University of Oregon and Virginia agree that the effects of climate changes are too evident. Among the warning signs, they cited that 2020 was the second hottest year on record. Wildfires are spreading through Russia's Siberian forests as the region sees as a heat wave. The blazes have swept across almost 4 million acres of the Sakha Republic in the east of Russia. Smoke has affected residents in urban areas, while community in rural hotspots have seen to destruction of houses and livestock. The government has deployed the military to sweep up evacuation procedures and contain the wildfires in a region known for its high temperatures and dry weather during the summer. At least 8,000 people have been hospitalized in Japan in recent weeks as the strong heat wave hit the region. With temperatures soaring above 30 degrees, hospitalization between July 19 and July 75 doubled compared to the previous week. While dozens of patients were in a fatal condition, the majority recovered from the effects of the intense heat. The government has adopted preventive measures and expanded treatment to protect the population from the extreme weather, as well as the athletes, officials, and volunteers at the Olympic Games. At least 2 people died and 7 were injured after a chemical leak at the plant in the U.S. state of Texas on Tuesday. Officials reported that the incident involved a leak of acetic acid, a food preservative that is commonly used to make vinegar and can be flammable. At the Lyondell Basel facility, the world's third largest producer of the acid, the substance can produce several burns and hair move if a swirl of toxin ignited and damaged to skin. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the incident. And we have more story coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. South Africa has claimed the unilateral decision of the African Union Commission to grant Israel observer status to the bloc. In a statement published on Wednesday, the South Africa government said it was appalled by the decision, noting the unjust and unwarranted move that was taken unilaterally without consultations with African Union member states. Israel obtained AU observer status on Friday after 20 years of diplomatic efforts. South Africa stressed that the decision is even more shocking in a year in which the oppressed people of Palestine were hounded by destruction, bombardments, and continued illegal settlement on their land.
Was 10 years of compulsory education for all children.
The number of deaths in Nigeria due to cholera outbreak rose to 479, according to authorities of the West African nation. The cholera epidemic has spread through 18 states since January 2021, including the capital of the country, Abuja, according to the Nigeria Center of Disease Control. Since the beginning of this year, over 19,000 suspected cases have been recorded. The outbreak is aggravated by the lack of drinking water, a shortage of resources, which impede a fast and effective medical response, thus increases on the risk of infections and death. A Palestinian man was shot dead by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank late on Tuesday. In a statement, the Palestinian Health Minister said 41-year-old Shadi Salim was shot with live bullets by Israeli occupation soldiers near the village of Beita. The deputy mayor of the village stressed that Salim, a plumber, was on his way home from work. He stressed that he was killed in cold blood, adding that there had been no protests in the area on Tuesday night. The village has seen protests against an Israel outpost and the planned expansion of illegal Jewish settlement on the Palestinian land, which has been violently repressed by the Zionist forces. Tanzania's new president, Samia Suluhu, launched a coronavirus vaccination drive this Wednesday. The decision came as Tanzania became one of the last countries in the world to start inoculating its people, reversing the policy of its previous leader. Authorities in the East African nation has until recently resisted imposing measures such as mask wearing, curfews and lockdowns. Former President John Magufuli was one of the world leaders who dismissed the seriousness of the pandemic. Priority for vaccination will be given to special groups of frontline workers, the elderly, and those with underlying disease. Senegal is now facing an explosion of COVID-19 cases due to the spread of the Delta variant. In the capital, Dakar, hospitals are to maximum capacity. The health minister underlined that imminent health system collapsed on Monday, noting hospitals were full and medical personnel overworked. The West African country has suffered a third wave of virus infection in recent weeks, with cases rising from a few doses a day late last month to an average of 1,700 in July. There are fears that last week's Islamic festival on Eid al-Adha, at which saw many people travel together with family, will increase the caseload.
Our reception capacities are currently at their maximum. Now, the ball is in the courts of the authorities and the population. Barrier measures.
Authorities in the Australian city of Sydney announced Wednesday millions of residents will spend another month in lockdown due to a fast-growing coronavirus outbreak and low vaccination rates. Australia's biggest city has been due to the exit of weeks of lockdown on July 30, but the restriction will now remain in place until August 28. As case numbers continue to climb, people living in hotspots have been urged not to leave their neighborhoods, but those living alone will be allowed to create a single bubble with another person. During the lockdown, senior residents can leave their homes only for exercise, essential work, shopping for necessities such as food and medical reasons. In recent weeks, police have doled out fines to those violating the restrictions.
Let me make it very clear. I appreciate personally what we're asking people to do for the next 4 weeks. But it's because we want to keep our community safe and want to make sure that we can bounce back as quickly as possible.
We are continuing to see cases of workplace transmission in those settings, in those critical illness industries, and we are also seeing them take those infections back to their households and setting off other chains of infection.
A state of medical emergency has been declared in the cities of Saint-Martin and Saint-Barthélemy in France as local hospitals find themselves under severe stress due to a surge in COVID-19 cases.
We have also decided this morning to declare by decree a state of health emergency in 3 new territories. In Guadeloupe, where the white plan has been triggered and where only 15% of the population is fully vaccinated, but also in Saint-Martin and Saint-Barthélemy, where the incidence rate has reached 1,714 cases per 100,000 inhabitants. This decision, which will come into effect at midnight tonight, will allow all necessary measures to be taken to protect local hospitals, which could quickly find themselves under great pressure.
And we have come to the end of this new brief, but remember you can find this and many other stories on our website at TeleSUREnglish.net, and you can also follow us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Telegram. And for TeleSUR English, I am Denise Herrera. Thank you for watching.